Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep, welcome back to the map editor, and welcome back to this island we're creating. We're on the PC version of the game, the Steam version of the game, and if you're joining us at this intermediate stage, the controls are W to go forward, S to go back, A to go left, D to go right, Q to go down, E to go up. You push and hold the right mouse button which pans the camera around, but wait, there's more. Well, there's always more as we come down to this little bit of beach and pull out an airplane. So we can use R to rotate, T to transform, C to clone, delete deletes. I always press enter there and it never works, but you have to click on the yes. F focuses, but if you have a smaller object, F focuses closer. Which means we're going to be touching all of the buttons on the keyboard, and occasionally the camera will just snap out to the middle of nowhere because I've accidentally tapped the F key. Anyway, let's delete the aeroplane and go through one other thing. Yes, the camera is moving very smoothly here out over the ocean, but as you stack more and more objects and items on your map, the camera will start to behave a little bit erratically, which it's not doing. Yeah, there it goes. Start snapping around. It looks like lag. It's not. Every time you get close to an object or the ground, the camera is going to slow down. The more objects are stacked up in an area, the slower it gets. As soon as you go past an object, it speeds up again. It's annoying that there is no constant velocity. Also, when you have these three brushes here, the raise and lower, the set height, and the smooth height, well, I'm going to say this every time because there is no undo save often, because if you make a mistake, you can't control Z and undo it. This amount slider is going to catch you out. This is smooth height. Oh, look, we're now on set height and the amount slider is all the way up. Wait a minute, raise and lower height. Well, we got lower and we got raise. If we hit lower right in this moment in time and left click, we'll punch a hole all the way through to Australia. And they're not going to be happy about that, because currently they're either on fire or underwater. Anyway, let's go back to objects so we don't have a brush selected. If you are joining us at this intermediate stage, so we have been creating this map, and one of the key features is this giant cave. It's a giant cave with something of a metal walkway to act as a quayside. There is a ramp that goes up, and there's a hole over there which allows you to walk out, but there's also a hole in the ceiling to allow some light and some sunlight in, which is why we have this little splash of light here. In order to make the measurements for this work, we put in the yellow raft, which is about the height of a normal player made raft, and then we put two doors on top. One door is the height of the player, the other door is the height of, well, the sails. If that lot can fit in this area, well, that means a raft with sails should be able to go in here no problem. But wait, there's more. Yes, I've just left that there. There is another one in the background because we've put in something of a nature walk over here in order to join these disparate little peninsulas of land. But it does mean the player can go up and over the top. One of the cool things is that, or one of the things you will need to know about your players, is that they want to get high. As in, they really want to get as high as possible in verticality. If you make a spire, if you make a mountain, if you make something, they're going to want to walk all the way over the top of it, which is why we have this little walkway here. And we got this little bridge here. But wait, there's more. Even though we've made a walkway over the top of the island, this is just a way of getting over the top. There's not much to do here. We're going to put some trees and things just to kind of make this path more viable and make walking over the rock a little bit less comfortable. We don't want to get to a point where we trap the player, which is why, even though there's a hole here, we've been kind and put in a little bit of metal so that you go, oh, there is a hole there. Maybe you shouldn't drop down it because you might break your ankles. I don't know if the water's deep enough. But the player still wants to get high as possible. And we're going to do something a little bit crazy. What we're going to do is take this bit of rock and put it here. Oh, well, now you've ruined it. Yeah, well, hold on, Bob Ross. It's a happy little pillar of rock, which is taller than the cave that we have. But the cave is the central viewpoint of the island. It's the focal point. It's the thing that makes everyone go, ooh, that's interesting. It is. But what if it wasn't the tallest thing on the island that you could climb up to? Well, how do you get to that? That, detective, is the right question. We're going to hit up structures and we're going to use another seafort bridge. These seafort bridges are doing work. We're bringing this out. I'm going to rotate it. And then we're going to transform it. So that's T and R. But wait. Is there more? Oh, there's always more. And rotate it. And then T, noting that the toggle point for this thing is right in the middle. So if you accidentally bury this thing in the ground, don't let go, because it might be kind of hard to select. What we're going to do is we're going to put it into a position where we get the verticality. We also need a junction here, a way of getting on there without being too awkward. So we're going to have to put some of these big rocks in there in order to make this connecting part easier to reach. We don't want to really mask the pillar, which means I think I might angle that a little bit more and then just move it down physically. The bridge is going to dictate where this pillar of rock actually ends up. We can move it out a little bit more. And remember to rotate it on its horizontal axis, because as we rotate it around, it's going to get more and more, it's going to get more difficult to actually be on. So we got to rotate it so it's comfortable to walk on. And remember, every time we let go, if there's lots of objects in the background, what can happen is as soon as you move something, it snaps to something else. And in that case, it snapped to something behind us. Why does it do that? Why doesn't it just lock onto the object that we've just moved? I don't know. The map editor has some quirks. When I say quirks, what I mean is it's absolutely bananas and bonkers. And seriously, what are you doing? And it should tell us somewhere on the screen what we have selected, so we don't accidentally move something in the background and not know what we've moved until we've made the map live. And then once you've made the map live, then you're just like, oh no, I've messed up. It's all turned to ash. Anyway, yeah, I'm just being careful about how we position this bridge. That's probably fine, isn't it? That's probably fine. And then what we'll do is let's move this to get to a point where I'm just looking at the top where this joins. I kind of want the metal buried in the rock, but comfortably so that the player can just step off, but doesn't look too stupid. I really wish it wasn't snapping to the bridge. Alright, that's fine. But why? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Because the players are like mountain goats. They just want to climb things. Let's make that bridge a little bit more level. Okay. The bridge needs to be level, and the junction onto and off of the bridge needs to be clear and easy to access. If you're making a map and you have something that the player needs to jump over or sort of like glitch through in order to get to the point where they can climb up there, that's bad map design. You never want the player to actually have to force themselves against bits of geometry because you didn't think things through. It's like, oh, that'll look cool there. Yeah, well, it might look cool there. But also, you got to beansed it up because it doesn't really work. Anyway, there we go. There we go, and that looks a little bit better. Let's rotate it a bit more. Let go. Hopefully it doesn't snap until we want it to snap. There we go. There we go. We got a Rocky Mountain way. And a little bit of a path. Nice. Skip a little rotate. Transform. Actually, go back to rotate. Because I'm noticing that what we've done is we've made the path a little bit too lumpy bumpy. That's better. That's much better. Let's let go of that. So we have nothing selected. And now we have a rock spire, which is... Let's go up here. Which is slightly taller than this. It's away from this. I'm just going to check. What have we got here? A little bit of metal poking through. Alright. We can sort that out. By moving that up a few... There we go. Done. Actually move down and then across the... There we go. That's a bit better. You got to make sure there's no geometry poking out of something. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Deselect that so we don't actually accidentally move it. Now we have big old tower rock. Oh no, that's unusual for this island. I wonder where else we have large towers of rock with stuff on it that we're going to have to put trees and things on. Ooh, it just looks a little bit weird just off on its own. Yeah, well, that's just one of those things. I did notice, though, as we were panning by, we have this little gap here. This could be a bit of a problem. If a player drops down here, like players down here, are they going to be able to jump out of here? That is actually a genuine question. We should sort that out while we can see it. What I'll do is I'll put this in here. I don't want the player to get to a point where they fall down a crevasse or there's something that jams them up against some bit of geometry. But at the same time, I don't want to block this view down here. That should be sufficient. Yeah, okay. That should be okay. Throwing objects, we don't have nothing selected. So you can still see down through the gap into the water as you're running along here, but you're less likely to fall into this gap and then get stuck. But what if I want the player to get stuck? Well, then you're a little goblin, aren't you? I mean, yes. I also just tapped the E button and we shot up into space because I think what we did is we got far enough away from this collection of objects, this cluster of objects. The camera was just released from its slow mode and just ended up almost on the moon, which is not a good thing. Anyway, we're going to need some trees. Are you going to put a ficus on top? You are very clever. Anyway, yeah, let's put ficus on top. Ficus tree 2? I think so. Remembering, yes. That is a pain, yes. In the arse, yes. If you let go. Oh. How are we going to do this? We're going to do as much as we can before the game decides, oh, I'm going to select the rock pillar instead, and then we have to... An item list would be excellent. Just an item list so we can select the object that we were just working on. We spent ages just moving this damn thing around, and now I have to move this by hand? What witchcraft is this? Okay. We'll move that out and move that back again. Like I said, there is no... Like, once that's in, you can't select it. The Nana plant... Oh my gosh, really? I just want to move that down. The Nana plant is kind of like that as well. It really doesn't like you moving it around. Right. Is that good? Is that good for you? I mean, it's a thing that exists, isn't it? Not really. Let's move it back. Down a little bit and still rotate. How do we want this? I think the way it is fine. Okay, fine. Fine. Right. Is that a little bit better? That's a little bit better. Okay, cool. Move this a little this way. And... gosh, some improvements to the map editor will be greatly appreciated. Good. Well, now we can go back to working on what we were working on, just checking for geometry poking out the sides. Good. Good. Excellent. Now what do we do? Structures, I believe. Really? Yes, let's put a giant shelter on top. No, that's not... We've already done that over there. And there's no shelter over there. I'm thinking we probably do the same thing again. Oh, it's got a nice view down onto that little sandbar that we made. You didn't call it a sandbar. In the video description, you got it sand dune. Yeah, well, I didn't want people to think we were making a coconut bar. Oh, it's a little tiki bar. No, people get confused if you use the wrong word. Anyway, there is a shelter. There's a shelter. That's a shelter and a half, isn't it? It's a slightly different one than the one we have on the other island. On the other rock pillar. You said the wrong word. I say the wrong word quite often. We're talking weird. I speak... yeah, that's just the way I am. Alright. What I'm going to do is move this back, up, and then slap some rock behind it. Ooh. Is that going to help? It's going to help me. Why? because I don't want those little leggies floating out in the middle of nowhere. And in order to give us a little bit of extra position, a little bit of extra, like, I guess, space on top of here. I'll just do that. Now we're gonna have a little problem as soon as the camera gets close. It's all juddery. It's all jerking around. It is. Oh, isn't there a song by the Caesars like that? Jerk It Out by the Caesars. I think that's the song. Terrain objects. Okay, what do we do now? I'm going to put some more rocks around here. Why? Because what we've done is we have put this thing on the top of the tree. Nice. But now the player gets to here and they're like, oh, well, I can't see all the way around the outside. I wish I could see around the back. Oh, all right. So what we'll do is we'll make a way for them to get around the back. Oh, I didn't think of that. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm here. Because if a player's going to go full billy goat and climb up a mountain like, you know, like they do, we're going to help them. We don't need to be their friend. We don't need to give them lots of resources. And that's one of the things that I will caution against time and time again. Don't give your players everything they want. Just give them what they need. You don't need to give them a bunch of resources. But you can give them some cool views, or you can give them, let's clone this. You can give them like something to climb on. You can give them stuff. You just don't give them all the toys all at the same time. It's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Nobody needs the staff of Ra to go and like absolutely destroy the bad guys, because if you just keep winning all your fights with no effort, this makes for a boring game. Cool, right, good. So now what we've got is a way around the back of this little structure. So somebody has come up here and gone, I want to live on the top of that rock pillar. And let's go backwards a little bit. Yeah, that's what I mean about the camera being a bit of an annoying thing. Right, okay. So you're living in your little... Jeez. I'm going to go the other way. I'm just going to go the other way. You're living on top of the rock in your little tent, and you can see down. Don't worry about things disappearing like that. That's just the LOD. Level of detail. We go far enough back, eventually it should reappear. Eventually? Or maybe it just doesn't. Yeah, LOD is kind of broken in the map editor. Like, we have a nice structure, and then we go too far back, and it turns into a load of broken-ass, like, sprites. It's strange, it's weird. It slices, it dices. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of strangeness in the map editor. I'm going to stick another rock here for one simple reason. What's that? Just having these rocks around the top with no context kind of looks a little bit weird. So I put some in the side. It looks like they are doing something, supporting it. There you go, a little bit of weird geometry around the outside, a little bit of weird science. Anyway, terrain objects. Of course, we've got to go to the trees. And when we are in the trees, we are going to find ourselves a cocoa bush, a happy little bush. Why are you talking like that? I fear my mind has gone. Really? No, well, of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most. Ozzy Osbourne. That's a quote from a film, though. It's a quote from Hackers, 1995, directed by Ian Softly. Starring Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie. And that was a line said by Matthew Lillard. How do you know all this stuff? I tend to watch films. Good films. Hackers wasn't a good film. You take that back. Anyway, we're going to use the bush. There's a little bit of rock showing through, but these bushes tend to be thicker in the game than they do actually in the map editor. There are some things in the map editor that just don't really work. So when you were done with your map, what you'll need to do is come to put it in the main game and walk around and just with a notepad make a note of all the stuff that looks a little bit broken. Anyway, terrain objects, and do the same thing on the other side. Another cocoa brush. It's gonna help. I'm not entirely sure where we put this one. The top or the bottom. I just want the greenery to cut through the grey. Oh. Have you ever been kissed by a rose on the grey? Calm down, Seal, if that is your real name. Anyway, let's do this. Why did you just rotate it? Because this one is, it's kind of like a, not a horseshoe shape, but a crescent shape. And I realized that by putting it this side, the crescents were sort of touching at the bottom, which creates a pattern, and humans are very good at pattern recognition, so it just kind of looks the same and kind of weird. I'm just looking at this bit here. I think we're going to need to rotate this to a point where we mask this little base piece, because the bottom of it doesn't really have much in the way of like foliage on it. Terrain objects, so we don't have anything selected, and I might do another one, in fact. Here. I can clip into the ground a little bit. Let's do that. But wait! Is there more? No, that looks pretty good. So what we've done is we've added some greenery to the grey. Otherwise we just have a big old column of grey and not much greenery going on. And you're going to be running past this thing quite a lot, going up and down the hill. The reason we put it here, by the way, and not here on this big area, is because when you come out of the cave mouth, I didn't want the view to be obscured by putting it right in front of this cave entrance. That was the other possible place we could put it. So you look left to the right, and then you've got that up there. Now we are going to have a forest here, of course. It's not going to be completely open and visible, but what we can do is, if we have ficus trees, we can put the limbs so we guide the player's eye towards the sea. But yeah, you've come out of your little cave and boom, you've got that. It's like, what is this? Oh, we got some steps here. Wait, it's all connected? It always was. So you can come up here and then run up here and then... the camera speed! It doesn't work! Alright, let's try and get as close as we can. Alright, and then you've run up here and now you can see down, you can see the sea, you can probably see other islands because there'll be other islands on the horizon. And you've got a sort of commanding view of the island, but wait! You can't really see this side. No. Which means you're going to have to run from one side of the island to the other, which is why we have different ways of crossing from one side of the island to the other. We have the sort of the mountain path, which goes across the top of the cave. We have the little bridge, which just makes it fun to cross. We also have the big nature walk on the other side of the island, and you can swim across if you want. There are paths across the island. There are different ways across the island, which make it fun to do all of the things you do. But again, the best way of doing this, as we slam the camera into the ground like we're trying to wipe out the dinosaurs, is to put things in the way of everything. You're trying to block lines of sight. I don't want a player to stand on one side of the island to be able to see the other side of the island, which is why we're doing a lot of this. If the player can just stand on one side of the island and just see straight across the other side, what's the point in going over there? Oh, I can just see it's bare sand. I'm not going over there. I don't want to go over there. But if you create something like this, the player has to go and explore. You want the player to go and explore and to see things and just be like, oh, now I'm here, I can see this over here. I want to go and walk on that. Like, you don't have to be friends with your player. You don't have to put on the big cargo ship. Let's get through the earth. Oh, we're in the big cargo ship. Yeah. Jesus, camera. The camera. There we go. You don't have to be friendly with your players. You don't have to give them all the treasure by putting in the big cargo ship, because that gives them quite a lot of stuff. But you can give them fun things. This will give them a little bit of treasure and is fun and looks kind of cool. This just looks kind of cool. All the treasure's buried underneath the map, so then they'll never get it. This looks kind of cool. There'll be a few boxes inside, but the rest of it, because it's concealed, they're not going to get a bunch of treasure from. That's cool. They can walk up there and there'll be maybe a box or a lantern or something. That's cool. Doesn't give them anything. Like, that's what you mean by, that's what I mean by giving the player stuff to do, or giving the player cool stuff, but not giving them all of the things they need. Don't give them all the treasure. That's not going to help them. Anyway, in a world. Let's see if we can put some stuff here. What I don't want is the cocoa bushes right next to the edge of the cliff, but they are kind of cool for concealing various pathways. That means I'm going to pull this back a bit and move this out. But wait! Yeah. We can go into this plant over here, because we put this plant down because there's a bit of metal sticking out the ground. What I want is this to be comfortable, knowing that it's going to be bigger, but also essentially highlight the edge of the path. So you got a shrub there, and it's like, well, look, all I can see is blue. If I decide to leap over the shrub, I'm going to fall into the sea. Yeah? There's a bit of rock poking through. Yeah, well, we know this is going to be bigger in the game than it is in the map editor, which is why it's a little further back than it should be. Just to give you that. Nice. Excellent. We can do the same thing the other side. Terrain objects. Cocoa bush. It's like the cocoa bush was annoying when it first came out, but it's actually one of the more useful plants for just adding huge swaths of greenery, especially when we have this like rock desert on top. There's not going to be any foliage or anything up here, which this adds in abundance. But we still need to make sure that it works on this side, because the player might still run up here. You can create paths for your player, but they still will go wherever they want to go. But I just want this to be here. So we're going to put greenery up, and then make sure the path that we've created doesn't have anything on it. That means that the path is clear, but the way that we are denoting it is the fact that we'll have plants and things around the outside. Neat. And we're just adding things slowly. We're not going too crazy all at once. Good. Terrain and objects. We got some cerumen. We could put other plants in here. Cerumen 2 has a little flower on it, which I think is kind of a nice touch. We could put that lower down, because the players are going to be coming through here. Let's do... Put it in a position where it's going to be kind of neat. And then drop that into the rock a little bit. Rotate it a little bit. When we let go, I'm just going to give it a few, like, milliseconds just for my brain not to click wildly around, because as you're running along, you'll be running along like crazy, and you'll be like, oh, plant. Like, players are going to ignore that, but they'll like mentally take note of it. Are we going to work on the... Are we going to get a naan in here? Oh, nana plant's pretty good. Like, when it's on the beach by itself, it's okay. Let's rotate it in such a position that it might be able to go up. If we beans this up, once the naan touches the rock, it's very difficult to get a hold of. So putting it out here and then sliding it in, and if it's not right, we can always slide it out and then reposition it. I think this is the best way I've found for doing this. Yeah, look at that. Snapped onto the rock. If that happened while it was touching the rock, then we can't really select it. I want to rotate it a little bit more. Okay, I'll just... You can see it touching the rock there. And then maybe up a bit. Doop. And then slide it in. Okay, and if we let go, can we select it again? No, it's so hard to select. We can select that, but the naan... Yeah. I put these two together, because as you're running along the beach, one of them is going to look a little bit weird, but two together is going to look a little bit more natural. We could put an alocasia in as well. Like literally just jam that in, rotate it a little bit. So it's just kind of poking out the rock. Turn it so the leaves aren't too badly clipped. Yeah, about there. Okay, cool. We're now just in the water. And the camera is basically uncontrollable at this point. But we want the greenery, especially if you're kind of like away from it. These bands, stripe bands, are fine. That's actually not a problem. We can put something down there. We can put something up here. But I think that actually works quite well. You've done this already over here, though. Yes, I have. Well, this one's more of a jumping puzzle. It's not a jumping puzzle. It's kind of like a platformer style thing. You jump across, and then once you're at the top, you basically have to jump into the sea. You probably jump back again, but that's just a thing that you can do. It's a little fun thing. It's something that players might do once. Not entirely sure, but with this, it's something that players can keep doing because you've given them an easy way up. So they can keep going up there. They can stand up there. They can watch the sunrise or the sunset. Not an issue. It's big and it's tall and it's obvious. It stands alone, but it's not. It doesn't look weird because we've got all the stuff over here. These rock columns here, and we've got rock columns over there. So basically, in a line across the island, you have rock column plus a cave, and then more rock columns and bits and pieces. Then you have sand on this side of the island, sand on the other side of the island. So it looks like there might have been some sort of geological thing straight through the middle. Rocks in the middle, sand on the sides. Wait, is that how you designed it? Yeah, that's how we designed it. Cool. Anyway, I am going to leave it there for the time being. If you like these videos, definitely leave a little like. Leave a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want notifications, dingle the bingle. If you don't want notifications, don't click the bell, and I'll tell you what, I'll catch you next time.